I am super excited for this upcoming Tuesday because, as some of you may know, the Castlevania Chapter releases on live servers. And as usual, Behavior has made some updates to the chapter ahead of release. So today is just a quick video going over the developer update. So let's talk about it. So first off, Dracula got a buff, and I think this is a very cool change. Dracula was a very fun killer to play as on the PTB, but there was some things that felt like they needed to be tweaked just a little bit. Mainly for me was, and I think for a lot of other people, was the movement speed of the wolf, and that has been adjusted. So let's go ahead and go over everything for Dracula on the developer update. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look. All right, real quick before we get started, I had to go back and re-edit this. I, for some strange reason, was saying millisecond. I guess I just saw M and S and just my mind was like millisecond. I'm fully aware that it is meters per second, and I'll even put some text on the screen that shows meters per second. I apologize. I know that it is not milliseconds. That would be insane. It is meters per second. Just wanted to give a big heads up that I am not a doofus. I know that it is meters per second, not milliseconds. I was just M and S brain was like, oh, that's milliseconds. So anyway, here we go. We've got increased movement speed while charging Hellfire to 2 milliseconds was 1.4. Decreased Hellfire charge time to 0.9 seconds was 1 full second, and adjustments to various add-ons. It also says the Hellfire attack proved to be useful on the PTB. We fine-tuned the charge time and movement speed to improve the way it feels to use. This includes adjusting the deacceleration and reacceleration after canceling the attack to be smoother and not so sudden. So I'll be honest, I wasn't super turned off by the Hellfire thing, like charging it but not using it. There was like a hindrance to that, so I guess that's that's what that is, so that it feels a little bit smoother. But I didn't feel super turned off by that. The main thing for me was the wolf. We've also got increased movement speed in wolf form to 4.6 milliseconds was 4.4. Haste from scent orbs will increase your speed to 4.8. So that's the biggest thing I think a lot of people were looking forward to, was being a little bit faster for the wolf, because it did feel, it's funny how these like small numbers don't seem like they make that big of a deal, but they do. They do matter. So I'm glad to see that they quickly addressed that. And, they didn't do a huge jump forward, but it is, something to show that they obviously were watching, as always, watching the PTB. It also says reduced cooldown of pounce attack to 20 seconds was 25 seconds. So that's great. Always, quicker cooldown is always fun. Also, colliding with a wall or obstacle during the first pounce will no longer end your power. So some of you may know that when you do the pounce attack while you're in wolf form, you can actually do it twice. There's two little pounces that can happen when you press the button. So this obviously makes it so that if you were to hit something after that first one, you don't immediately end the power like it did in the PTB. Also, the dev note says the wolf form looked to need a bit more attention. For the release, we have increased the wolf's base movement speed to 4.6 milliseconds, the same as the vampire form. We've also reduced the pounce attack's cooldown. So that's great. So basically, you got the same movement speed as you are when you're playing as, just regular vampire form Dracula. So that's awesome. All right, and then we've also got a minor update to the perk Human Greed, and this says reduced cooldown to 60, 45, or 30 seconds was 80, 70, or 60 seconds. The dev note says on the PTB, the cooldown for closing chests was quite long, so we have reduced it significantly. I didn't really use this one too much, but that's still a welcome change. And there you have it. That's going to be everything, all the main notes for Dracula for the upcoming live release of the Castlevania chapter. As I've made it very clear, I'm obviously a killer main on the channel, so this is good news for me and other killer mains, of course. And I think it's just good news, period. This isn't anything too drastic. I think at first glance, seeing the different modes, kind of like the power switching like with Vecna, it can kind of seem like he has a lot, and time will tell. Maybe I'll come back on this and say, oh, actually I've learned a little bit more. But as it stands right now, I don't think he's super OP. I think he's just a fun killer, and like I always say, I am all the way down for just fun killers that make you feel like a force, in the game. So I think this is a great change and a great step forward for this upcoming chapter, and I cannot wait until Tuesday. So that's going to be all for today, guys. Just wanted to go over the developer update with you so you'll know what is coming on this upcoming Tuesday with the live release. As I always say, stay safe, and I will see you in the fog.